Many of you probably already know who I am. My name is Sharon Buchanan. Joanna Rosebush sends her regrets that she's unable to be here today. But I would like to introduce to you Denise Sullivan. She has been in the medical field for most of her adult life and has been a CPR instructor for more than 25 years. In 2007, Denise became one of the statistics she teaches about, which was the beginning of her heart journey, which continues today. Her passion is second to none, so please help me welcome Denise and get ready to be touched, entertained, and educated about women's heart disease.
Thank you very much. As Sharon said, my name is Denise Sullivan. I live locally here, right in Old Town. I am a county girl. I came from up north in the county. And this is my 7-year anniversary of being a heart disease survivor. So yay. I'm going to tell you some about my story today and how what the symptoms were that I had. I'm going to talk to you about some of the processes and the journey I've been through, and also some facts about heart disease and what you can do to live a healthy lifestyle. So it's wonderful to have such a large group here, but I told Sharon, I know it's the CEUs. I teach, I know, yeah. It's like, come on, we gotta go, 20 CEUs, yeah. So, but I think that you'll be happy that you attended either way. So we're going to do Go Red. Go Red is actually this Friday. So I'm glad to see so much red here in the room today. But Friday, we want to make sure we're wearing something red because that's always the first Friday in February. So here we go. Can we get on web here?
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, let's see.
I don't know if you're...
Let's just see. If not, then we'll skip it. It's not a biggie. But it's fun. So we all like fun. So what do I do, smart people?
Try that right here.
Click for updates? No. That'll take a long time. Lego, thank you. That I can follow. Oh, you're not getting it.
Okay, move objection deadline to the third line after survey. Did you finish your breakfast? Don't hit your brother. You have to eat something. Here. Okay, 5 minutes to carpool. You okay, Mom? Oh, I'm fine. Potato shorters. What do you want? Almond butter and jelly. You sure you're okay? I'm fine, sweetie.
I am so late. What are you doing? You okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
You sure?
Oh, yeah. Here.
Hot siding, my favorite.
Where are your shoes? Put your shoes back on, please. You know, help your sister. We're going in 3 minutes. Oh, my God, what am I doing? I forgot to cut off the crust. Getting a dustpan. I think you're having a heart attack. Honey, do I look like the type of person who has a heart attack? Totally fine. Don't forget to wear the high socks with the shoe on. Come on, Mrs. Annabelle is not going to wait. Okay. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. sorry to bother you. You might be having a little heart attack. Nothing really, just some nausea, tightening of the jaw, dizziness, shortness of breath, muscle pain, achiness, this terrible pressure in my chest. Oh, really? They can be here in how long? 2 minutes.
Make it 10.
Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of my heart, and I tell the women in my life to do the same.
Sounds great, by the way.
That's nice for you, but that's not my heart. Mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
So some people say it's a little corny. But you know what? I think it's something that we all can relate to. People, this wasn't made to be a real heart attack. It was to be made to get a message across, right? But truly, this is some of the symptoms that women experience, as well as how we think when we think we're getting sick, we're having a heart attack, it could be the gallbladder, whatever. We are caretakers, and we can't get sick. We can't have a heart attack, all right? But I'm here to tell you today, if you don't learn the warning signs, if you don't call 911, who's going to do things when you're not here? So, with that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my story. So, these are my grandparents here in the blue dress and the gentleman behind her, Pauline and Alan. My grandmother died when she was 57 years old. She was in the hospital waiting to have her gallbladder out. Had a massive heart attack and died. In the picture next to this, the gentleman there is my dad, Danny Fletcher. He was 37 and had open heart surgery in Portland, Maine, and did not survive the surgery. That's me next to him. Don't I look just precious? Yeah. Don't talk to people who know me, okay? My sister, who's actually my older sister, in this photo, she has a valve problem, but it wasn't genetic. It was from getting ill, and it attacked her valve. And then my brother Alan is down in the bottom, and he was 29 when he had his first heart attack. So my dad's brother has had triple bypass. His sister has 3 stents. So it's genetic in my family. My son had elevated lipids at 1 year of age. My daughter was put on a statin at 16, which she's non-compliant. What are you going to do, right? Okay, but so that's a little history. 8 years after this picture is when my father died. I was 16. So what does heart disease look like? Well, this is what it looks like. This is my actual diagram after I had my first catheterization and was told that I was going to need open heart surgery at 47, never having had a known heart attack. All right, so you'll see some green arrows here. This is diffuse plaque. This is like where it's starting to compile in the vessels. Now remember, when we're talking heart disease and we're talking about vessels being plugged, we're talking about the vessels that are on the outside of the heart and in the heart muscle that actually feed the heart so that it can do the job it's doing. We're not talking about the chambers that pump the blood, that blood, okay? So, you know, we expect to see this as people get older, even if we live a very healthy lifestyle. You know, our heart is never as healthy as the second we're born. From that point forward, it is out there and it's being exposed to many things that can actually do harm to it or can keep it at a pretty normal plateau. So I've got some blockage in here. Maybe the people in the front row can see it. But there's a 50% blockage, and this is a major vessel. There's a 50% blockage, a 70% blockage, a 70% blockage, a 90% blockage, another 90% blockage. That was a 90? Okay, I didn't catch that one. 90 and 100%. Folks, this is the widowmaker that's 100% blocked. And that's a term I had never heard until 7 years ago when I got the call from my doctor and he said, you know, you need to, and when you get a message that says this, I left the hospital after my stress test. People, you know, because I work at Eastern Maine, people said, you did great, Denise, there's nothing wrong with you. I'm like, all right, little fat, got to lose a little weight, I'm golden, right? Well, when you go home and you have a message on your machine that says, Denise, this is Sean. You got a little problem with your widowmaker. I need to speak to you. Call me at home. That's a little concerning, yeah? I'll let you know that for 2 years, I had avoided having a stress test, although I had shortness of breath, especially in the wintertime when the air was cold. When I did some real exertion, I couldn't do the treadmill for maybe like more than 5 minutes. I could walk on it, but not at a really good clip. And I had tingling in both of my arms. And I said, oh, that can't be my heart because it's both arms. If it was my heart, it would be the left. All right? I had indigestion. I actually had my gallbladder out, which needed to be done. You know, I had a lot of improvements once that happened. And when they said to me, Denise, you've had a heart attack sometime, because I had damage down in that area of my heart, I knew exactly when it was. Because I remember getting up in the night and having the most terrible indigestion I had ever experienced, and going out, and I didn't have any Alka-Seltzer, so I did the baking soda and water. Anybody do that? You get a good belch, makes you feel better. Yeah? And kind of sat up. I got diaphoretic. I got very cold, sweaty, clammy. I felt nauseated. As I said, and I sat there on the hearth in my living room and thought, I wonder if this could be my heart. And then I said, if it gets any worse, I'll wake Gary up and see what he thinks. It dissipated after maybe an hour or so, and I went back to bed. So I was very fortunate, because when Dr. Clough did my surgery, he came out and told my family, had she not had this done right now, we would have lost her within the next 6 months. Major MI, there's nothing we could have done for her. So, this is, like I said, a picture of what that is. Oh, my collaterals, I didn't tell you about those. All right, you see these little squiggly things down here? I am so lucky, because only about 30% of people will grow collateral vessels. So what that means is, with my heart attack, with the blockage in my vessels, the body is an amazing thing. And it said, we need oxygen over here. We need to get blood over here. And my heart grew vessels over in that area. And that's probably the only reason I didn't have problems earlier and that I survived. So, what do you need to know? Well, folks, you can read this. There's a lot of data I'm going to throw up here for you to look at. But it is true. More women die of heart disease every year since 1987 than men. Now, when I say that, heart disease is the #1 killer of both men and women. About 1 in 3 women and 1 in 3 men will die of heart disease. However, women have worse outcomes after their first heart attack. More women die after a first heart attack than men. Why might that be, you might wonder? Anybody have any thoughts?
It's because the research hasn't been done on women's bodies.
Research is a big piece of that. You know, you clump in 4 women with 96 men, and you report the data as a whole. Well, maybe if you'd done those 4 women alone, or you had a larger portion, you would have found that, gee, it worked really well in men, but it was awful in women. All right? So that's very true. Any other thoughts? You talk yourself out of it, and so that's a long, we delay access to the hospital, right? When it's men, we're going, come on, you're having a heart attack, because we're the control freaks, right? We're calling the ambulance, and they're swearing at you and whatever, all right? But we're in control, we're caretakers, we're going to take care of it. Would you be scared to call if somebody told you not to? He's just smiling. Yeah. Okay? So we delay that access. So by the time we get to the hospital, some of the things that work very well when we get there quickly are not going to have the effect because we waited too long. So denial is a powerful thing, folks. Look at me. You know, in the medical field, taught CPR. Not just did it, but taught it, and statistics, and so forth. For more than 25 years. I wonder if it could be my heart. If it gets worse, I'll wake Harry up. I know more than him. Why would I want to wake him up, right? What else? What else?
Doctors don't take it seriously?
I hate to say that, but that's very true. Physicians and allied healthcare providers are getting much smarter about the statistics and the information. However, you're under a lot of stress. I'll write your prescription. Yeah, have a glass of wine at night. That'll relax you. All right? Although I will tell you, 1 ounce of wine a day is heart healthy, and it can be any kind of alcohol. It can be the alcohol in beer, it can be the alcohol in hard liquor, it can be it can be the liquor in wine. However, it's a very fine line, 1 ounce, and you can't save them up for the weekend. Some of you are thinking that. I can do that. Yeah. So, because why would that be? It relaxes us, decreases stress, you know, things like that. So, you know, women who work in positions where there's a lot of stress, and men as well, that 1 drink helps to relax. And there's actually something in there that actually decreases the stickiness on our platelets. So that, you know, having a stroke, when those clump together and so forth, it's effective in that way as well. So physicians don't always take it seriously, and healthcare providers do not always order the same medications for women that they do for men, and also cardiac rehab. A man has a heart attack, they're going to send him to cardiac rehab. A woman, well, do you have insurance? Well, don't worry about it. Do some walking at home. No, you need to go to cardiac rehab. Because I'm going to tell you, going through this process, having a heart attack or a surgery or a stent placed, once you have been labeled as a heart disease patient, it messes with your head big time. Right? Because you think everything you do, everywhere you go, am I going to have a heart attack? What if I'm at camp with the grandchildren? You know, what if I go to the wedding and I'm dancing and I exert too much and I have a heart attack and everybody will be looking and, you know, I'll just stay home, all right? And not only does it impact the individual, but it also is a disease that the family has, even if it's not genetic. because how you interact with one another, the foods you eat, doing exercise, putting yourself first, and we don't do that, all right? So when heart disease comes to the forefront, it impacts a lot of people, a lot of people. So more than 42, and I think that the new figure is 43 million women currently live with or at risk of some type of cardiovascular disease. So that's when you batch them all together. So, and actually the nearly 5 times more than breast cancer has gone up to 1 in 4. So for every 1 woman who dies of breast cancer, 4 will die of heart disease. So it truly is our #1 killer. As a matter of fact, if we lumped all cancers together that kill women, heart disease is still #1. So if you think, I don't need to worry, you're wrong. You're wrong. So heart disease in Maine. This is a nice slide because, and it's a little bit older, I think it's 2006 data, but it takes a long time for them to compile this stuff. But you can see that we really, as a state, we're about average with the nation. However, when you start looking, when you start going north, what happens? The incidence of heart disease increases greatly. Why do you think? I love interaction.
French-Canadian population that's doing research on that.
All right, so could be some of it culture or that plays in there with genetics. And I have a lot of Canadian French in me. Yoo-hoo! Yeah. More isolated, more rural. They don't have as much access to health care. And they tend to be a lower financial earning area the further north we go. South, there's a lot more education, there's a lot more medical facilities. People have, I don't want to say good jobs, but they have jobs where they have benefits. You know, you get up north, you have your farmers, you have people who are self-employed, things of that nature, or work for very small businesses. And so they may not be getting the health care that the people in the southern part of the state are receiving. So, and again, this shows us that African American women, we know that. American Indian, which we have a significant population here in the state of Maine, and also Alaskan Native women have a much higher incidence of heart disease than white women. So again, genetics play into that. So here is some data and statistics with specific groups, but many of them we see a lot of common things in there. We see things like obesity, overweight, inactivity. New research is showing that the #1 best thing you can do for yourself is exercise. Exercise is medicine, folks. It's free medicine. We don't need insurance coverage to get that medical care. So, like I said, there's lots of data out there now on that. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. High blood pressure, of course. We've all heard about high blood pressure. You need to have your blood pressure done to find out if you have it or not. Diabetes, about 14% of African American women have diabetes. How long do you think the average American has diabetes before it is diagnosed?
10 years?
Not quite 10. 5. 5 years. So you think of all the damage that's being done to the vessels, the kidneys, in 5 years. That's significant. So, you know, this is one of those numbers that we want to have done every year. We want to know what that is, what's happening. And then sodium intake. You know, we love the salt shaker, but I'm telling you, we have a Swedish AFS student staying with us right now. She gives me this candy, and I'm thinking, oh man, that looks good. It's got sugar all over it. They put salt on their candy. Yeah. Everything that we use a lot of sugar for, they seem to use a lot of salt. Isn't that something? Yeah. So again, know that those are significant things when it comes to any group and heart disease. Again, here's some data on Hispanic American women. And diabetes. There's a huge connection between heart disease and diabetes. It's kind of like the chicken or the egg. Which one comes first? But most people, male or female, who have one have the other. So again, knowing what those numbers are, making sure that you're having your glucose checked, yearly when you go for a physical is very important. Obesity, we all know it, right? I can blah, blah, blah as much as I want, right? I said, I've done a lot of things to improve my health, but boys, I struggle with my weight. I just do. So, I can relate to that when it comes to a lot of people. I exercise, but even if you eat too much good food, it still puts pounds on you, So that's one of the things that I'm really working on this year for my heart health. Depression. Huge link between depression and women's heart disease specifically. As you can see, it's twice as common in women as in men, and it puts us at an increase of heart disease by 2 to 3 times. So that's huge, right? Again, it tells us down here that women are less likely to be referred to cardiac rehab. And remember, I told you, it messes with your head. So being there with other people who can assure you that what you're feeling is normal, that this is not unusual, that it will pass, who will say, I remember saying, I get so nervous. Okay, now I have the open heart, right? Went to cardiac rehab, awesome, because I thought my heart was fixed, right? So I'm thinking, I can do this, I'm on the stair climber, right? Never been on one in my life. Yeah. And Mary Seidel, I don't know if any of you know her, she's from Old Town. She comes running over like, get off that, because, I go, but I feel great, I'm doing it, yeah, just to prove to myself I could do it, However, I'm trying to think of where I was going with this. Oh, I had 1 session left. I had 13 weeks of cardiac rehab. I had 1 session left, and I kept telling the doctors something was wrong, something was wrong. They kept going, Denise, you just had open heart surgery, you're fine. And I'm telling you, if one more person had said to me, do you think you should go talk to somebody about this? It's an awful lot. I would have strangled them. I remember the last appointment I had with my healthcare provider, and I went in, and it was Sean O'Connor. Some people might know him. And I remember they said something about Dr. Ritter was coming in, and I started to cry. Well, I've been through a lot with him. He's been our family doctor since, and just hearing his voice, I started to cry. And the medical assistant, right, she's like, Denise, are you all right? Maybe we ought to set you an appointment with people upstairs. People upstairs! Yeah. You know what that means, right? And I said, listen, I am fine. I am fine. I said, ask Gary. I'm handling this very well. But no one is listening to me. There is something very wrong. And Sean came in. And of course, I had been crying, right? He just looked at me, he goes, Denise. I said, don't even effing say it. I did. He just looked at me, right? I'm like, there is nothing wrong with me. And so what happened was he sent me back to the hospital. I ended up being admitted. And within 48 hours, I was told that my surgery was a failure. Oh. that I had blockage below my touchdown sites. So the touchdown site is where they jump over the blockage with the vessels they take out of your legs or arms. That's the touchdown. So I had blockage below. So what that meant was, well, there you got a new road, but nothing can get through still, all right? And we did yeah, I was there. Some intervention, all right? And they were going to do a catheterization, my second one. And I remember the first time I had it done, you know, I'm laying there, Walter, I love Walter down the cath lab. And he said, oh yeah, we get people who come back here, frequent flyers. I went, you're kidding me. He said, oh no, some people, they just don't make any changes. You know, they don't take their medications and, you know, whatever. And I said, well, this is my first one, and I don't think I want another. And I just had my 9th or 10th down in Boston last week. So, anyway, had a heart attack on the cath table, putting in the first stent. Woohoo! Mary Seidel, she sees me at Eastern Maine. Denise, do you know you qualify for cardiac rehab again? So, great, Mary, yeah. But I went, I said, I'll go to the exercise, but I'm not going to the classes, you know, where they talk about nutrition and all of that, because I had already done it. But, you know, I think I was more frightened after the heart attack doing cardiac rehab than after the open heart, because I knew that my heart was compromised. You know, I had lost a major vessel, and like 9 months later, I went to Boston, and Dr. Eisenhower opened it up and put in 3 more stents. So I regained that vessel in my heart, and I didn't even know they could do that, all right? So, you know, it's been quite a journey, and it continues to go on. But I now have 8 stents, all placed after my open heart. They just told me on my cath last week that all my grafts are up. They're flowing, you know, no new blockage. So that's great. And I've been life flighted from Eastern Maine to Boston, and I've also gone down by ambulance. So it truly is a journey for me, you know. You keep going, you keep going. But I'm just glad I'm here. 7 years, yeah. So what do you need to know? You need to know about the ABCs of heart disease. Aspirin therapy, find out if that's right for you. Should you be taking a baby aspirin? Do not start on your own. However, ask about that. Blood pressure. Know what your blood pressure is. Are you hypertensive? If you are, make sure you're taking your medicine. All right, and you're going to go, Denise, it makes you feel like crap. Then you know what? You go to your doctor and say, this is not working for me. Give me something else. Because they got a zillion drugs out there for hypertension. And it's getting the right combination for you as an individual. So it is. It's, you know, you got to play the game till you find out exactly what it is. And it's tough getting there. But it's going to keep you alive, and heaven forbid you have a stroke, right? Nobody wants that. Cholesterol, know those numbers. What's your, you know, your LDL, that's the bad one. Your triglycerides, and that's a good indicator too of diabetes. And your HDL, which is the good cholesterol. So it kind of grabs, if you have a lot of HDL, it kind of locks up with the bad stuff and says, come on, I'm getting rid of you. And so getting that HDL up to a good number, it's the ratio of HDL to LDL that is as important as the bare number, okay? And smoking cessation. We all know it's bad for us. I smoke. Somebody said, when did you quit? I said, when I had open heart surgery. Now, for years, I couldn't even say that when I was speaking to a group, because I thought people are going to look at me and go, well, you deserved it, right? Sometimes we do things that aren't so smart. You know, I think everyone in this room probably can think of something. If you could go back, you might not do it quite the same, all right? But, you know, I know people who I was in cardiac rehab with who still smoke. So, I mean, we know it's a very strong addiction, and I think, people just need to do the best they can for themselves. We're each responsible for ourselves, what we put in our mouths, what we do for exercise, all of those things. So sometimes we take little steps. We look at one thing, and we do one thing at a time and conquer that, and then we can move on to something else. We can change 82% of risk factors. That's huge. That puts each one of us in control. So know your risks. Family history, we can't change that. Age, we can't change that. And our race, we can't change. We got what we got, right? Warning signs. And many of these are common with both men and women, but some we see higher amounts in women. So pain, discomfort. Folks, I'm going to tell you right now, that pain I had on the hearth was terrible. When I was laying flat on the cath table, I'll never forget it. Dr. Wiseman, they have this thing, between you. And he looked around and he went, Denise, I just dissected your right coronary artery. What's your pain like on a scale of 1 to 10? And I just remember looking at the nurse anesthetist, because I had said before, should you be able to feel those guide wires? No, if you need more, he said, you let me know. I just looked at him and nodded, But it wasn't probably more than a 1 or a 2. It felt like somebody just put like an empty teacup on my chest. That was it. Because I remember laying there thinking, this is going to get really bad. It's going to get really bad. But it didn't. Women also have more silent heart attacks than men. No pain at all. No pain at all. So you can read those, body discomfort in one or both arms. Yeah, it's not just the left. My angina, when my heart is not getting enough oxygen, I get pain in my lower right back. One of my heart sisters said she remembers the first time she went to the emergency room. She said my thumb started throbbing like I hit it with a hammer. That was her angina. So this can happen with men as well, but we more often see it in women. Men tend to have the classic, elephant sitting on the chest kind of thing, pain in the jaw, up the neck, in the back, but not always. So you've got to look at all the symptoms and what's going on. If you stop, does it minimize the pain? If you get up and you start doing things, does it get worse? So you have to really look at the whole picture, because we all have all of these symptoms sometimes, right? So again, heart health in the workplace, this is what you're doing here today. You're finding out some things. Maybe when you leave today, you can say, you know what, I'm going to pick one thing, and I'm just going to try and do that a little bit better. Just a little better. Or you're going to make that doctor's appointment and go. And when you're there, say, I'm 50 now. Should I have a baseline stress test? We have baseline mammograms. Why not a stress test? Right? In the bags, there is a great brochure about a discussion you should have with your healthcare provider, the questions to ask. So make sure you take a peek at that. Again, a few things you can do. Now, okay, this is something I planned, all right? I didn't know there's going to be so many of you, but this is Heart Month, right? And so Women Heart sent me 20 stress balls for a lunch and learn, which is what this is. So whoever gets them can have them. You want to throw some, Sharon? If there's somebody out there you don't like, maybe get them right in the head. Yeah. So, what's important to women? When we're looking at our lives and how we kind of set things up, as importance in our lives? Hey, maybe go halfway down and chuck a couple to the back. What's important to women and in what order? What's important? Men can answer this too. Family. What else? The household. What else? Work, job. Friends. Any other thoughts? Church, so our groups or clubs or faith.
Sex.
Sex. And let me tell you something. This is a really good story, and it's true. And my kids go, Mom, really? We didn't need to know. But I remember when we went down to see Dr. Eisenhower after I had my open heart and all of that. And Gary and I, we were sitting waiting. We were writing down questions we wanted to ask, And he took the notebook from me, and he flipped the page, and he wrote something, and he just flipped the page back. All right? So we get in there, and, he's asking all the questions and stuff. And he goes, how about the sex life? Because that's very scary for people. You don't want people going, yeah, she died having sex. I want it to be, I saw her yesterday and she looked great. I don't know what happened. All right? So he took the notebook, because I was in control. I had it in front of me, I was reading the questions. And he took it, he flipped the page, and he just passed it to Andy. And it said, the sex is fabulous. He read it, and his response was, I wonder if I could have a heart attack. Yeah. And I think that's for a number of reasons. When you look at your mortality, and, we had done all of that stuff, we had, because they said, Denise, there's nothing more we can do for you. Go out on disability. Hope you don't have a heart attack that kills you. And that you live and your heart gets bad enough, you can get a transplant. That was 6 years ago. I'm still working part-time. I work 3 days a week. But when you got a family, you never stop working, right? I do my woman heart stuff. I'm in everything. My quilting buddies are here, all right? And all of these things. So, I remember saying to my doctor when he told me that, if I was your wife or your daughter, you would have me in Boston tomorrow seeing the best doctors. So if you want to help me, you get me to Boston. And he went out and made the arrangements. So, I say, and people, all right, I work at Eastern Maine. Don't one of you dare go out and say, she was dissing Eastern Maine, wasn't she? Yeah. No. I had my surgery there, and I still have a lot of my testing done there and so forth. However, my heart disease is so advanced that they just don't know what to do with me up here, But I say, Eastern Maine is my guardian angel. Because when something goes bad, they're the ones who are going to take care of me. They're going to stabilize me and get me to where I need to be. So please know that right up front. But let's get back to this. What's important to women, because we're almost out of time? Children, number one. All right, and this was done with a survey of I don't know how many women. All right. Next, where's their home? Anybody in the room feeling a little slighted? Oh, it gets better. Our careers, our third. Who's going to clean the Self. Yeah, self. So, you know, you have to reprioritize when you have heart disease. And if you have a great support system, which many women do not have, as well as men. You know, it's kind of like, you had the heart attack, you're all right, get over it, you know. Life kind of, you know, picks up and it starts and people forget. Sometimes I think I don't have heart disease anymore. You know, when I go for a long stretch, like 2 years, and I don't have to have any major invasive stuff done, I'm like, you know, maybe I'm just all healed. Maybe God just went, you're so wonderful. Yeah. I think he just doesn't want me. So, I mean, you really have to prioritize. And so I had to move myself up first. And that is really hard. It's saying no. It's saying not going to happen. It's saying to your kids, you know what? This time was blocked off for exercise. So if you want to wait to go to the movies till I'm done. Because, you know, for myself, I know when I get to a certain point, if I've not exercised for the day, it's not happening. I get too tired. I have no energy, you know, and so forth. So for me, first thing in the morning or in the morning before noon is best for me. And, you know, I have to thank my husband because we got much closer after that. And had to move him up second because he took care of me. All right? He would say, you haven't gone for a walk yet? We'll clean up the kitchen. And the kids, their eyeballs would, yeah. You go for your walk. And I would be like, well, I'll just go, he'd say. And I'd be, all right, pretty good deal. Yeah. So, you know, you really have, the dog, God bless Coco, she was old, she was put down, yeah. And we decided no more pets. No more pets, because there were a lot of care and a lot of work. I work part-time, our house, now some of you aren't going to understand this, but we built my dream house. And we were in about 2 years when this happened. And my husband said, and I'm like, I just can't do all of this, you know. And he said, I'm going to get you a housekeeper. Now you think I'd be happy, right? Oh no, I cried. I like to clean my house. I love my house. But I don't cry anymore. Yeah. I'm like, honey, tomorrow's like, you know, cleaning ladies are coming. Did you put the money on the fridge? Yeah. So what do? It's all stuff we've heard before. What I'm going to tell you, I want to just talk just quickly about exercise. You may think, you know, I can't do that. I just can't. My knees are bad, my hips are bad, whatever it might be. I'm too overweight. This is what I'm going to tell you. 10 minutes of exercise at one time, you get heart benefit. All right? So if you can only get up and walk for 5 minutes, or someone in your family, encourage that. Don't say, this is no good, why are you even bothering? All right? You cheer them on. What you're doing is making a difference. And before you know it, they'll be doing it 6 minutes, then 7 minutes. And when they hit 10, it's magic. So if you can do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at noon during your lunch break, and then 10 minutes in the evening, you got your half hour in. You've aced it. You know? So keep that in mind. Minimum amount of time, 3 times a week, preferably 7 days a week. I take Sunday off for the Lord. All right? I do. Yeah. So again, those questions and brochures are in these bags, so I encourage you all to take them. I have more under the table. What should you do? Make sure you call 911. Because if you sit and you wait, and take an aspirin and chew it, a full-strength aspirin, all right? That will immediately start having an impact on your platelets and blood flow and blockage. And call 911. Don't be doing this. Don't drive yourself. They're not happy when they say, "Who's here with you, Denise?" And you just smile. Yeah. They go, "You didn't." I go, and then I left a note for my husband. I said, "Having some chest pain, but I don't really think it's my heart. Call me when you get up." I will not do that again. He was not pleased. Don't drive yourself. Don't call your doctor. When's the last time your doctor called you back the same day, let alone in an emergent fashion? It's just not wired that way. And then chew that aspirin. When you get to the hospital, do not minimize your symptoms. "Well, I had a little pizza late, before I went to bed. Might be gas, all right, whatever." You need to say, and you don't say, "Yeah, I have a family history." It sounds very different than my dad died at 37. My brother had his first heart attack at 29. I had open heart surgery at 47. Let me tell you, they're slapping you down so fast, sticking stuff on you. Again, stuff we've already talked about. Again, if you want to learn more, I went out to Mayo Clinic in Minnesota and trained for 6 days with some of the best people in cardiology in this nation, all women. And so I am a woman heart champion. I go out, educate, advocate, and support women with heart disease. So, and that's exactly what I'm doing here today. But if you want great information, go to Women Heart. It was started by 3 women who had open heart surgery and could find no support for women. Because we are different than you guys. You know that, right? They're going, "Yeah, you're a different creature, all right." Okay? Again, our mission message, a message that you can find it on the website. Yeah, got to do the money thing, my bucket list. All right? What started my whole journey and made me go and see my doctor was when my daughter came in and said, "Mom, I'm pregnant." And I thought, I want to be a Grammy. Whatever this is, I need to face it because I want to be here. So there's Wyatt, the day he was born, and me and my mom over there. And for like the first year, my favorite thing was I'd start crying, very emotional. I cannot be here right now. To the point where my kids went, "Yeah, we know, Ma, you cannot be here." And then when my daughter said to me, "Mom, didn't you watch The Lion King? It's the circle of life." This one right here. I said, okay, I need to back off a little, I guess. But I put my first quilt in the quilt show and got a first place ribbon. So I always said, I need to do that. These are the women that were at the symposium in 2008 when I went, my Heart Sisters. I drove a race car. It was awesome. And Gary got in his car and he got claustrophobic. And so the guy said, "Well, do you know anybody that wants your laps?" And I'm going, "Whee!" And I'm telling you, my family, they're racers, My dad raced, my brothers both raced. And I remember I said it was just like, watching it on TV, the Indy 500. I did my 10 laps, and you got to follow the pace car. If you pass the pace car, they hit the button and shut you down. So, and then I can't remember, you put your hand up if you want to go faster, and when they wave you off, that means you can't go any faster. And I remember I kept going like this, and he kept waving me back, yeah. But it was so cool. I pulled into the pit after 10. They brought me over a glass of water and a Pepsi cup, and they go, "You're doing great, Denise. A little high in that left turn, bring her down a little bit." Yeah. I went, "All right." They went, "Go, go," on the hood, and I threw my cup and took off. You can't lay rubber, though. You do that, you're traveling, you got that button, 10 miles, and it's called the Lap of Shame. Reba McEntire always wanted to go to a concert. Woman in our church, she's, got up, you have the announcements and stuff, and she said, "Oh, my girl's got me 2 tickets to go see Reba McEntire." Do you remember this, Gretchen? Were you there? And she said, I'm so happy, and Tom doesn't want to go, but I'll find somebody. And of course, I was, in my heart process, and so a couple of people lifted their prayers, and I just want to thank everybody for all your prayers. I'm doing pretty good. But I've always wanted to go see Reba McEntire. There you go. And we had an awesome time. This is my red dress quilt. It also won a first place ribbon, and I've made 4 of those. And one of them is in cardiac rehab at Eastern Maine, and actually the original. And I made one in red, black, and white, and gold. And it hangs down in the Women Heart Conference Room in Washington, D.C. So pretty cool. And then I went in hot air balloon, and it was so awesome and quiet until we hit the tree. We did. It just made a good story, And everybody said, you're lying. But we got a branch stuck in the rope. We're going, right here. Yeah. And then this is actually the house that I came home to when I was born. And it was just like 2 rooms. I remember it because it was on my aunt and uncle's property, and they used to rent it out. And when my sister and I would go there in the summer, they would, if there was no tenant in there, BB and Jim would let us go out there and sleep for the night. We thought we were hot stuff. Yeah. And one day, Gary, I was coming home, and by golly, Gary and I said, stop. And he stopped, and I remember I just started to cry. Yeah, so that was actually our house, so pretty cool. And, life is great. I have had so many great experiences over the last 7 years that I would not have been able to do if I had not had my surgery, if I had not taken my symptoms and said, I got to do something about this. So I thank you all for having me here, and today is my 54th birthday.
If you want to do that on your way out, and then I'll go find you and contact you if you want the door prize.
And I'll be in the back of the room. There's red bags back there. There's magnets with the symptoms that women have. Take that stuff, folks. I don't want to carry it home. Take it and use it yourself or share it. Thank you very much.